So behavior is called levushim, garments, and they are external to the soul. Even machshava, which is internal, is still considered external to the soul. And a very important point, a very important thing to remember, one of the reasons why they're called garments is that you can discontinue them at will. You can take them off and put them on as you wish. So you never need to say something to you never, not need to, you might feel that you need to. You are always able to not say something to your wife. And as we've said many times, the question is just what's the price? Because sometimes, we all know that there's sometimes things that we want to say to our wife that if someone would offer us $1,000, we'd still say it because it's just, we're in so much pain right now. But if somebody was to offer us $10,000 or $100,000, depending on your bank account, yeah, or $1 million, you would be able to bite your lip. Meaning that you can always discontinue a behavior, always. And that is so comforting. I can't really think of anything more comforting than that. That a healthy human being is always in control of his behavior. And if you're not, it's unless you're not healthy, but we'll assume that you're healthy. If you're not in control of your behavior, it's because you've made a conscious decision to do X. And that even goes for thinking. That even goes for thinking. But I've been working on thinking now for a long time, and it's very, very rare that I have a destructive. I'm going to say this now. I'm going to open the. I don't want to bring any kitchoigim on me, but I just want to give you a chizuk that it's very rare that I have a destructive thought. Like I get stupid things pop into my mind in Kriya Shema and stuff like that. Like, but those are tikkunim. But the idea of like going down, how it works with thinking, yeah. After having struggled with this for a long time, I'll tell you the truth is my real fight with thinking is when I go into the bathroom to not be thinking Divrei Torah. And that sounds very gaiva, but that's really my struggle with thinking. But it's the same struggle as what I used to have with negative thoughts. It's the same thing. You're not allowed to think Torah in the bathroom. So you have to stop. But you're not allowed to think those negative thoughts about yourself. You have to stop. Whatever it takes, you have to stop. You're not allowed to think those thoughts. And those thoughts go down, and what they do, we'll finish on this point, but this is a very important point, that we've discovered in this generation, if anybody's interested in learning deeper, and we'll talk about this actually, is that there's a man called Joe Dispenza. Anyone heard of him? Put up your hand if you heard of him. Or we'll do a little thing. Yeah. So Joe Dispenza, oh, you like him? So Joe Dispenza, he's actually a Moedica guy. Like but what he's basically done is he explains LP biology and science, what we've known, what Chazal knew, just Chazal called them things like demons, shindaladim. He calls them chemicals. They're talking about the same thing, the exact same thing. Now, what happens is there's a chemical release. Someone says to you, I hate you. Yeah, Chas v'shalom. And it makes you feel a certain way. It makes you feel, however it makes you feel, everyone knows, fill in the blank, yeah? That feeling is a chemical. That feeling is a chemical that your brain produced. Now, that feeling, just like everything in creation, wants to live. Just like the cat, that disgusting cat next to my house that's like, you're like, why don't you just die? Yeah, he still wants to live. Everything that's alive wants to live. That shin dullard, or that chemical, or that feeling, whatever you want to call it, all it wants to do is live. So that's why when somebody's angry, you can't say to them, relax, chill out, because you're just talking to anger. And if you're telling anger, you're basically saying to anger, kill yourself. And you can't do that. That's literally how it is. So what's happening is this chemical gets produced in the brain. Yeah, you call it a shindalad, a demon, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it goes into the blood. It makes you feel a certain way. That feeling wants to continue living. So what does it do? Where does it get its energy from? How does it continue to live? It encloses itself in letters of thought. And it makes you think certain things, certain thoughts, certain ideas that resonate on its negative, destructive level, and it causes more of this chemical. Because now you're thinking, not only did that guy just told you he hates you, yeah? But now you've got in your mind remembering all those times that your big sister told me that she hates you. And then you remember now the guy in school who used to say that to you. Now, all of a sudden, you've become completely unlovable. In fact, now you've realized actually how unlovable you really are. And what's that doing? The more you're thinking about that, is that's that shin dalad, or that chemical, becoming enclosed in the letters of machshava, causing the production of more of that chemical. And that's the downward spiral to Gehenna. So by being aware of the fact that these feelings that you're having inside yourself are just chemicals. And if we were to take, I'm not, what's the word? I'm not saying they're not real. They are real, but they're chemicals. And if we were to take some kind of very strong, other chemical, it would be nullified. So, but the problem is that that chemical hijacks our thinking. It becomes enclosed in negative letters and words and produces more of the same chemical. So if we could just get very aware of this, the mechanics of how this works, it puts us in an incredibly powerful position, Bezrat Hashem, to not get caught up in this craziness. Like, to the point when bad thoughts come to your mind, what I used to do, what I would still do if they come to my mind, is like I've said to many people, I'll just start looking around and I'll start analyzing the world. I'll be like, wow, look at that tree, and look at the white, the sky behind the tree, and how many leaves there are, and then like, why are the leaves green and the trunks brown? And just ask stupid questions about what you're looking at. And within a few moments, literally, it's usually within 10, 15 seconds, yeah, you've forgotten about what you were thinking about. And you can keep doing that. And I know it's like, oh, you can keep doing it. And in fact, I would go as far as to say is you have a chiyuv to keep doing that. I would say that just like you have a chiyuv, when you're thinking words, you walk into the bathroom, you're thinking divrei Torah, and you have a chiyuv to stop thinking those thoughts. I would go as far as to say is when you have a chiyuv to stop thinking those negative thoughts, a chiyuv to move your mind to someplace else. Okay.
I think based on what you're saying, it's easier to catch the thought before it gives birth to the initial emotion. Once that initial emotion starts, now you get pulled into a spiral. You got to catch that first thought, no? The second thought.
No, sometimes the emotion is produced. Someone just turns around and says, you're ugly, I hate you. All of a sudden, you're like this. That chemical got released, pitomi. You with me? Anyway, so the chemical got released immediately. And now, I mean, look, if you can stop the first thought, that's great. But usually you can't stop the first thought. The chemical is just an automatic reactive. It's just released. It's a reactive. It's reactive. It's a response. So it's a reaction. The initial chemical. Now, once you know that feeling that you're having, that you usually translate into the words, "You're absolutely rubbish." Yeah. Remember that you're not rubbish. There's a feeling, there's a chemical inside of you that stims with the words, "You're absolutely rubbish." But if that same person had put their hand around you and said, "I love you, I think you're gorgeous," yeah, then you would have another chemical got produced that makes you feel that would become enclosed in other positive words. You're really not that bad at all. You're actually quite a good guy. Remember that time when that person said this and that happened, etc. So it's usually you're fighting a chemical first before you're fighting a machshava. That's usually where the fight is. To recognize that the reason why you feel like this is just chemical. It's just biological. It's just physiological. It's just it's like a tipa of mayim. It's just a little bit of wetness that's in your blood that makes you feel like, I mean, look, anybody here has taken acid, yeah? You know that a teeny teeper of acid can do crazy things to your mind, yeah? That's how powerful chemicals can be. And some people have an actual problem, and there are chemicals being released by the brain without anything happening. That's called chemical depression. That's and that needs to be treated chemically again. But again, it's just chemicals. And that the Chazal called them shindaladim, demons, but we call them chemicals. No difference. Okay, so that was I don't know. Somebody probably just had to hear that. I don't know why we got into that, but okay.